If you find yourself losing the majority of aim duels you get into, then you're probably making at least one of the 5 mistakes I'm gonna cover in this video. Even making just one of these mistakes can be holding back your aim significantly, so make sure to watch to the end of the video to make sure you aren't doing any of these. The first point on this list is that your aim might not actually suck, it could be your movement that does. This can be in the form of you, for example, running and gunning or peeking improperly. As you should know, Valorant doesn't like it when you move while shooting. This means that every time you're on the move and see an enemy, you want to be able to stop as quickly as possible to maximize the time you have to get the kill. So instead of running around using all of WASD, you should instead try to peek every angle using A and D more. This will make stopping way quicker once you see someone, as well as not exposing to too many angles at a time, which could also make you have to flick further to get your aim on someone. But to successfully peek using A and D, you need something else, which is my second tip. And that's that your crosshair placement could be holding you back. When I say crosshair placement, you probably think about having your crosshair head height, which is a good start, but crosshair placement gets much more complicated than that. Peeking more using A and D is a great habit to build, but it's not as good if you don't know where to aim. However, combining better crosshair placement with better movement will make a huge difference and give you way more kills. This is because you'll already be pre-aiming the common angles at the same time as you're peeking well, which will have you exposed to less positions and help you stop faster if you see an enemy, which, like I just covered, gives you more time to kill them. The difference from the last clip I showed you and the clip right now, which is how some people have their crosshair positioned, is monumental, so changing two things can actually make a huge difference. Now, crosshair placement doesn't only matter when peeking, it's also important when holding angles. Holding angles can seem simple, which they definitely are compared to peeking, but there are still some things to keep in mind. What you mainly want to keep in mind is the distance from the wall that you want to be holding. Is it an angle where people usually wide peek or jiggle peek? Don't worry about not knowing this right now, as this is something that comes with experience, but if you can start trying to notice that people peek certain angles, then that'll help you a lot. Some angles might be more commonly peeked by an operator player. In that case, they're probably gonna try to get a more narrow angle, but if people run out commonly with a shotgun or SMG there, then they're probably gonna go wider. Keeping things like this in mind will help you adjust your crosshair to wherever you're holding. But a great start is to just pretty much always have your crosshair head height as well as a good distance away from the wall, since wide peaks are very common. The third reason where your aim might suck is that you have an aim routine but you're not consistent. If you're watching this video, then I'm assuming you already train your aim, but I bet most of you aren't consistently doing it. You might do it a few times a week or even less, but what you actually want to be doing is training it every single day before you play if you want to see real improvements. This is like any other habit you do. You can't just go to the gym once a week and expect results, right? So why would that work with aim training? Now, of course, you do get some training when playing regular ranked games, but it's not nearly as intense as the aim training you do in a program such as Aim Lab, which is dedicated to it. So if you're not consistently training your aim, then start doing that, because the improvement you're gonna see is gonna be huge. The fourth reason is that you're spraying when you should be tapping and vice versa. This is a common mistake that can make you lose completely free kills. There's two main reasons why people make this mistake, and the first one is because of it being a habit and you do it without thinking. The second reason is that you simply don't know when to spray, tap or burst. It's very easy to automatically start spraying when you see an enemy, since that seems to be the fastest way to kill someone, but that's not always true. How you get rid of this habit is by consciously reminding yourself not to do it. This can be hard to do in a game of ranked, so what I like to do is to challenge myself to a tapping only deathmatch. Because unlike ranked, where you have something to lose if you lose the game, you don't in deathmatch. So you don't have to be afraid of losing duels, and you can instead fully focus on losing the habit of instantly spraying. So, how do you know when to tap, burst or spray? If you're behind an enemy or engaging in a long distance fight, then you generally want to try to avoid spraying. If you're behind a person, then simply put your crosshair on their head and get the free kill. Spraying is just taking unnecessary risk. If you're long range, then you don't want to spray because there's a higher chance of you missing since the recoil is higher. Not to mention the fact that spraying in Valorant is generally very hard because of the unpredictable way the bullets go. So in these two scenarios, you should tap or burst. If you're on the other hand playing close quarters, somewhere like lamps on bind, then you obviously want to be spraying, since you'll hit most of the shots either way and you have no way to fall back. So generally, if you're peeking versus one person and you're not getting pushed, and it's like a mid or long range fight, then try to avoid spraying as much as you can. The fifth reason your aim might suck is that you're always aiming down sights. Now, ADSing or aiming down sights isn't always bad, but in most cases it's simply unnecessary. Almost every player I see below the rank of gold or so aims down sights way too often. ADSing restricts your field of view, lowers your fire rate, as well as makes you slower. The only scenario where using ADS is justified is if you're holding a really long range angle or a very tight angle. Other than that, stay away from it. Like I mentioned earlier, it's not always the case of your aim being bad. It could actually be other things bringing your aim down. To improve on your game sense, which is arguably even more important than your aim, check out the video that's on the screen. See you there.